What's going on, my creative collective? Welcome to your reading for May 19th. I hope everybody's doing well. The energy's been, I see all these memes about it being so intense and all of this stuff, and it is, but just think about all of the things that this energy is drawing out of us so that we can then be poured into, right? Think about that. With the Pluto retrograde and the Scorpio full moon, one of the lessons that I was taking away from it was that there's this place, like it's the Leonard Cohen poem or song. It's just the light, like the cracks are how the light gets in, right? And understanding that that's how I'm hearing we put ourselves back together, right? And it's this cyclical wholeness that we're called to every year. So if we remain in this weird place of activated by these transits and seasons, then all that we're really doing is just repeating a pattern instead of really allowing it to change us, right? So with that being said, let's dive right in, shall we? So I would like to invite the angels, my guardian angels, my spirit guides, protectors, teachers, and their healing energy to this space. And I ask that it is a safe and brave space that allows for the fullest expression of our light, humanity, ascension, and healing. All right, so I'm going to pull from the Journey of Love Oracle, like I said yesterday, in a departure from our usual Hero's Journey Dream Oracle, which is here and why I'm pointing, but it looks like I'm pointing to the card, which I am still very grateful for, but yes. So, what messages do you have for my creative collective? Devotion to the small. The bride offers herself. That's a good surrender card right there. Yep. And Sacred Convergence again. That showed up yesterday. So I feel like this is like a kind of thematic thread woven through this week a little bit here. And I feel like collectively speaking, I feel like there's some things that are shifting. It's like devotion and surrender, this dance that we do with the way that we hold things, the way that we hold things and contain things, and the way that, things can either overtake us or it's really just this, it's like a beautiful dance, right? And this is also very watery energy. And, I think about the importance of that. And just when we neglect our edges, when we neglect to be tender with our edges, it makes it difficult to move through things, right? I think about 2 days ago, I got to where I needed to be for the day. And when I was there, I felt super anxious and I started crying, like burst into tears, which was, it's not it's crying doesn't make me overly uncomfortable. But some people might be like, go on, right? Like, I do not believe you, but it's not so much that as much as it is just finding safe containers to behold it that are not going to be feel that the tears are imposing upon them. But the person that I ended up crying in front of held me while I cried and sobbed. Really, it was quite a good friend, and held me, and then just rubbed my back while I kind of was in the sort of the space of post crying. And I was just reminded quite heavily of this need to be tender with ourselves, and not generically, like broadly speaking, anyone can say like, oh, just love yourself and you'll be fine. What does that mean, right? That means not running from tears that need to just burst forth, and not just not running from them, it's also meeting them and allowing yourself to release. And I think that it's almost like the way that I'm seeing it is like this period seasonally is going to allow us to see things happening internally. And then the next seasons with the retrogrades that are more generational planets are going to be pulling us into what feels like internal chaos right now and disorder. It's almost like those processes that we are going through within and that we are being called into and invited into are now going to happen on a larger scale, perhaps, or they're now going to happen in a bigger way, but not in a grandiose and dramatic way necessarily, but they're kind of going to find themselves played out on bigger stages for us to see. And for these questions of the Scorpio and Taurus, eclipses, like what meaning do we want to make from these things that happen internally and that then get played out on bigger stages, right? So that kind of shift, right? This devotion to the small, and the bride offers herself. How are we offering ourselves? What are we devoted to? And devotion is not, devotion is such a tender commitment to me. It's such a tender commitment because it's not obsession. It's not obsession, nor is it excessive attention that's imbalanced. Devotion is showing up and asking what people in our lives need from us where they are, right? As opposed to any other kind of energy, right? So, why don't we dive right in here? Okay. Spirit, what messages do you have for my daily creatives, for my creative collective, please? Whoa. I feel like sometimes I shuffle and then I like perform with the cards. So 6 of Swords in the starting position here. I'm getting like walking the lines or edges of our consciousness right now, like the lessons of the retrograde, meeting all of these transits. It's like walking to the edge of our consciousness and really trying to ask ourselves what it is that, what it is not only that we're looking at, but what are we moving towards and away from, right? What are we moving towards and away from? And how are we embodying the courage to do that? How are we embodying the courage to do that? 3 of Cups. And that goes here, yeah. Death is showing up a bit so far. Ace of Pentacles. There's a lot of new here though, right? Like I feel like Two of Pentacles. So we're starting with the 6 of Swords here, and then I see this going into the 3 of Cups. And I think it's about understanding what you're leaving behind and the power of moving towards. Like there's all 3 of these cards have this full moon energy in them, right? All 3 of them do. So I feel like it was pretty powerful. I mean, I say that as like a super duper fixed sign, so take that for what you will. But I'm getting that this, like, it just had this energy of like, there's something transformative about, I'm hearing the consciousness of confidence and what that means to you and for you, right? So I see this as more consciousness energy than water and emotion alone. But I feel like there's something about new here. Like there's some new awareness, and it's like a confidence that you have. There's like, it's not confident certainty. It's not like a certainty that you have necessarily, but I think it's just being so good with yourself that you're really not afraid to shine anymore. You're not afraid to shine anymore. And you may feel like I felt like this the other day. Like you have this intuitive awareness of, people might be looking, and then you pull back your energy because you're afraid, not of messing things up necessarily, but because you're not sure what to do with that. And until you discharge that energy and do something with it and meet it within you, it's that I feel like that's where this transmutation of energy may be coming from. But I think too that it's this confidence piece here. It's like you're integrating these parts of you. You're integrating some parts of you. And interestingly enough, I feel like passion, this ace of inspiration, I mean, this is possibly also a thirst trap card. So it may be important to, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just said that. It just is it's a weird thing to conceptualize for me. Like, what is a thirst trap anyway? But I feel like this Ace of Wands is 11 on the time. This Ace of Wands is about inspiration and passion, but because it's in the potential tower, if we're not working with the energy, I think this is like passion that can run away with itself. And I'm like, it's like a distracted feeling. Like there's like a buzzing energy where like you're focused on the passion as opposed to the things around you. Like, right. This, like, the succulents can have quite sharp needles. So it's like, how are we balancing this passion so as not to be, met with the sharpness of it? And the protagonist is this beautiful transformative Scorpio energy, right? This beautiful energy where you're stepping into it. And I think the Hierophant here, it almost mirrors a kind of hermit energy. It's like a retreat, and this is the antagonist energy. So in keeping with this strength card, it's like the antagonist position is showing up as like, don't hide yourself, right? And say that it's a spiritual pursuit. Don't hide yourself and claim that it's, some kind of higher pursuit, that it's important for you to be seen right now. This is also Leo and Taurus, so you could be dealing with folks who are of that place and of that sign. This is also Scorpio energy. I mentioned that already, but that's 8th house, 8th, 5th, and 2nd house. And then in this kind of main challenge is your emotions. And like, this is such rich emotion. This is depth of emotion. This is, the variety, the ecosystem of it. And you see all of this happening beneath the surface, right? Beneath the surface. So it's like this, it's not, I'm hearing reckoning, but it's like a contact with your emotions and seeing them for what they are. And instead of, a running from them, this is this beautiful embracing card and calling them towards you. And this Ace of Pentacles, I may show up as a result of that, but it's almost like all of that water, it really watered seeds that you planted, and one of them is blooming beautifully, right? One of them is or will bloom beautifully. And this, we see this kind of consciousness bridging energy showing up here again. And I think one of the lessons that you're learning is this, this sort of integrative fire energy that takes over when you're on your path, right? But the way that I'm seeing the integrative fire energy is that you're burning, letting things burn away that don't matter anymore. And I think this is like a reconnection to a fire within you, right? What's coming to mind is the image of wood, and you can't burn treated wood, right? I mean, you can, it's just not good for you or the environment. So if you were to burn wood that had been treated with something, as it burned, if you threw it into a fire pit, it would release all of these chemicals that may not impact you right away, but they would cause headaches and a whole bunch of different things. So it's almost like the quality of the things that you're passionate about and burning within you, the things that are burning within you, have like, it's like a vibration raise. I'm getting, again, more full moon energy here. So it's like this bridge between you know, a bridge between realms. It's just what I heard. But um, I think I'm getting this idea of like instinctive consciousness, this instinctive consciousness that's coming to you now. And it's more accessible to you. And I think more than this being an indecision card to end here for the day, I feel like the Two of Pentacles is like being able to change gears quickly or making, you know, quick decisions. This sense of adaptability that this brings about, because you're able to hold not one pentacle that came to fruition, but others too. And it's like it's like this. I'm hearing the song "It's Raining Them." Oh my gosh, it's a good song. You should look it up. It's an adaptation for those of us who are non-binary, they's and gentle thems. But it is like this fantastic. Like it's almost like an understanding of how much power you have to create what you want, to plant seeds. So I think that's beautiful energy. And now we'll clarify this. I feel like your emotions and letting them or yourself be seen in them is going to figure quite prominently this week or this next week. It could even be part of the processes that we're going through. Four of Cups, Page of Wands, Nine of Wands, Wheel. Of course Jupiter would show up. Oh, Jupiter. No, but I think this is... There may have been feelings of boredom or dissatisfaction, but I feel like this is about recognizing the right opportunities when they come to you, right? This is not about like, it's not about like not settling, because I think that when you're aligned, it's not about settling, because that's not the point. The point isn't picking the best one and whatnot. It's, I'm trying to think of how to word this, but it's like you're able to recognize not just stuff that is going to be like passing sense of fulfillment, but one that's actually going to light you up and that you hold the torch for, that you hold the torch of, as opposed to other folks. You know, this is like you leading the charge. This is you, right? And it's like stepping into that power. It's about stepping into that power. And this Nine of Wands here, it's almost like there's a little bit of hesitation about change, but I do get the impression that this is like a Ten of Wands as well. Like this recognition that you have about what you want to create and your creative power and capacity, then is kind of integrated here in the turning of the wheel, right? This is like that 10, you put it down because this recognition is what allows the wheel to turn. And I think that's, it's sort of like the story beginning, right? It's like the story beginning. Prologue, that's the word I was looking for. Spirit, what messages do you have for my creative collective? The sun. On the emotions. Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, that's just beautiful. Way to make my marshmallow heart go, aww. But we have the Six of Swords. We also have the Queen of Cups and the Ace of Pentacles. So this energy here is really about moving to, I think this is just like opening up emotionally. This card makes me so happy because informally, like formally, I'm known as Charlie to my friends, but informally, I'm also Dory, and I'm kidding. But that's it. I see that card there, so I just chuckled a little bit. But again, my guides are like Pixar characters, honestly. I think this is moving towards a more integrated emotional state, where you're able to recognize what it is that you want, not just what you want, but you're able to recognize, like, I'm hearing green flags, like in relationships. Like you're able to recognize not just the right people, but you understand how to fundamentally address the roots of foundational behaviors in a relationship that build a healthy one. And I feel like the Sun and the Ten of Swords are here because this is, this is putting something to rest. Like it's just, you're past it now, right? You're past it now. Spirit, what message do you have for my creative collective? The Emperor and the Three of Cups. I think this is this is sort of like a powerful sense of direction, and I get the impression that your guides and helpers that you didn't even know you had are celebrating. And I get that this is like kind of like the baby steps on the path to happiness. The Ace of Pentacles here, and then the Sun and the Ten of Swords going into this Emperor and Three of Cups energy, right? This like, I'm hearing to feel the fear and do it anyway. Yeah. And I think that what this comes down to is understanding your power and doing something like unapologetically and just embodying that energy unapologetically, right? And being willing to take up like a leadership position, being willing to do that. And this could also just be leading with a sense, like leading with the lessons that you've learned along the way, and like leading with the things that you've integrated along the way too, right? Like, what is it that you've learned, and how are we putting this in service to something? Because this is Aries energy. It's like that sort of leadership position, right? I think that people may, it's not just about seeing you as a leader here. I think that this is celebrating this about yourself, like celebrating the ways that this is how you show up in the world, like celebrating the ways that you do. This is also the first house. Yeah. And it's celebrating this understanding of your own power, right? Because I get the impression that there's things that, we all walk away from things at different times. And I think that it unlocked this real joy for you, this real joy. And there's like a pattern that you walked away from and you broke with. And I'm seeing here that this is you stepping into that beautiful sense of power within power and comfort within yourself. So we have the Three of Cups here and the Ace of Wands. I'm going to clarify that. Justice. King of Cups. Ace of Swords. That's a lot. This is a lot of new here. New, and also major arcana as well, which tell me that the another more new. Oh, okay. All right. So I think this is I just heard it's that Seneca quote, success is where or luck is where preparation meets opportunity, something along those lines. And I think that's what this is. Like, you're poised and prepared for success because you're doing the work, you're embracing the parts of why. This is like your why, right? Why does it mean anything to you? Why does it resonate in your heart space? Why does it light you up? Why does the idea of it thrill you, right? And then it's stepping into this energy here. It's stepping into that, and it's justice because you're doing right by you. You're doing right by you. And I think this is kind of like an aside. This is the process here where it's like this emotional awareness, the tower that that this is that doing this work is kind of not wholly preventative of, because it makes it sound like it's happening in a silo, when realistically it's far more like tentacularity. There's a connectedness to it. But I think this is illuminating a kind of process that you're going through, where it's not, your passions aren't running away with themselves. And maybe this was the fear that you had, where you would be consumed by this energy, this Ace of Wands. And I think that this is where you're doing right by yourself and recognizing that you don't really have anything to be afraid of in terms of not just emotions, but again, your why, right? It's like leaning into that. And this is where the Ace of Wands shows up again with the Ace of Swords. And that's where these two opportunities, it could be two opportunities, but these two views come together, right? These two views come together. And then we have the Strength and the Death card here. I get that immediately to be the transformation of our kind of sense of consciousness, the way that we're viewing our own transformation in the light of day is what just came to mind. Yeah, Nine of Pentacles. This is like, you're good. You're good with it. Like there are changes that have taken place. There's ways that, that I'm hearing the earth moved beneath your feet, but it's not even about like, oh, it'll be good one day, we're going to get there. I think this is you, like, these are all, it's like silver linings, right? Silver linings. And it's not just like counting them. Like, I think about like when a cat is really stressed, it can purr sometimes. And it's like, it's not like counting blessings like that where you're purring, but you're actually like, I'm just doing it to comfort myself. Like, because you feel so unsteady. I think this is about you seeing the silver linings as seeds that are being planted, not just in a consciousness sense, but I think also in a bigger picture way for you. Page of Cups. Queen of Wands. Ten of Pentacles and the Nine of Swords. So I'm getting here that so the Page of Cups and the Queen of Wands is like, again, it's like this energy of like this fire that you thought you'd be consumed by is actually opened your heart. It's opened your heart and it's given you a further awareness. So the opening of your heart is like illuminating this determination, this deep passion. It's like you're not giving away your power, because it hits the heart space differently. You see it differently. You see it completely differently. You see it completely differently. And the Ten of Pentacles and the Nine of Swords here is just about trusting in these silver linings, right? There's a long-term view that we're taking here, and there's maybe some worry about the long-term view, but I feel like you're landing more than fine. You're landing in ways that you can't really see, right? And I think this is also a call to take all of the thoughts. Swords represent thoughts or perceptions. And it's like taking all of the thoughts that you have that keep you up at night and externalizing them, right? Externalizing them. And I think that this Ten of Pentacles is about the investment, knowing which ones are worth your energy and time and which ones are just, 2 or 3 a.m. thoughts that keep you up at night, right? And then on this Hierophant card here, what do we have? The Eight of Cups. Eight of Cups. What else? King of Pentacles. Five of Cups. Yeah, this is like it's almost like I got this is almost like hermit vibes. Whoops. Like saying that you're on, like it's like you're doing this for a higher purpose. Like it's fine. We're going to lock ourselves away and, not shine our not be in our Leo, not shine our light. But we'll leave them here for other people to see, but like not from within us. It's okay. We're good. Right. Like that kind of energy. And I say that jokingly, knowing that like I'm completely calling myself in with that exact statement as well. But and calling myself in at times. There are times where I'm good with it. Then other times I'm like, woo. But we have the Eight of Cups and the King of Pentacles, right? So to me, this is moving away from that pattern. And it's like grounding things so that you feel comfortable being seen. And I think this does involve like a grieving process, like a letting go of sorts. But I feel like there's two cups right behind you. So there's not much to be worried about in terms of like, it's not about, is it on your path? It's more about, are there things that will feel fulfilling, right? I think I said it in another video where like awakenings can feel where people will be like, oh, it sounds so nice. It's like classical music and harps and there's cherubs and it's just fantastic. It's like all these beautiful filters. And I'm like, no, the reality is that it sounds like a pot and pan being thrown down a concrete stairwell, right? At times. And then once everything gets quiet, then there's peace because, it's just like, it's like this is the stuff working its way out. But the Two of Cups can also represent soulmate energy. And in terms of bridges, like we have this consciousness bridging card here, right? But then in the background on this card, we also have that bridging card here too, right? So it's like, this is also really, really crucial where like moving towards and it's like releasing the need. It's like a releasing of the need for things, releasing the need to have a specific thing a specific way. And it's like flexibility. Yeah, because you're not fighting yourself anymore, right? You're just not fighting yourself anymore. And this is like chef's kiss surrender, right? Like this is just so beautiful. It's just ultimate surrender. And I think this is like a surrendering of perspective, and you're beginning to be, there's an enlightenment that's coming from that. I feel like this is such a huge spread, but it's fine. This is the notes from the universe on love and connection. Okay. You have more options than you realize. I think I said that in here with one of the cards. I remember it not, but I am pretty sure. And not to be like, I'm right, but just to be like, Spirit's trying to send a message here. So you have more options than you realize. And I think that the really powerful part is that you understand, you're understanding that it's not about the quantity, but the quality. And that's sort of this bridging shift energy here, right? Like what good are options if they're not the ones that will nourish you in the long run, right? This Ten of Pentacles energy. And it's not about options like people. Like I don't, that energy gets really tricky. It gets really tricky to me because we can get into a place where we see people and like we remove their humanity and see them as options. But that relationship says right there, that kind of relationship says that we're out of integrity, 3333 on the time, with a way of seeing ourselves, because we're seeing people, we get into this extractive relationship with others as opposed to just understanding that we're not here to take from people and we're not here to get, we're here to give, right? And giving based on what's most important for them, not just like, well, I like to do this, so it's important. No, like it's about doing things with people that allows them to shine, right? Like I love hockey. I haven't had a chance to watch much of it because, but my Colorado Avalanche are kicking ass. But I know that like that I really like, and not everyone's gonna enjoy that too, right? But and not everyone has to participate. Like someone doesn't have to participate in that with me in a relationship, but just that they know that I like that is like it allows you to be seen, right? It's just these little things. But when it comes to this, I'm thinking, I don't know why this extractive relationship thing was like a whole word. But I'm seeing that the more options than you realize is also about you seeing that, in the Five of Pentacles, which is not here in this spread, it's like the call is to look up. Look up. Don't keep looking down, because you're going to miss all the doorways along the corridor that you're walking that you could otherwise open, right? You're going to miss all of them. You're going to miss all of them. Yeah. I'm not going to say it like that. You can do that in your lovely little minds. I feel like my voice is starting to change more. It's starting to get slightly deeper, and it will for sure squeak. So no. But anyways, when it comes to choosing who will be in your life, I recommend valuing their yeehaw quality above all others. Have it your way. So like what is a hell yes and what's not, right? What is a hell yes? And making sure that the options, these like routes or paths that we take have more of this hell yes energy to them, right? Because that honors you to be in that energy. It doesn't mean that everything's going to be like sunshine and rainbows and it's so fun, unless it's pride, in which case, yes, and glitter. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. Oh my God. But this here is really about that hell yes quality, showing up in things around you and looking for that and letting that be your metric instead of, how quickly can I get inside, right? I'm thinking if I were like in the Five of Pentacles card, right? We're in the snow. It's horrible. I think somebody lost a shoe. Like we're just gross. Like it's not great. And it's like, instead of operating from that place of like, I just have to get to the next warmest place, right? You begin to see what doors belong to what spaces. And then you can assess beyond that. You can assess where it is that you're actually going. And that makes a difference. So I'm going to pull from the Miracles Now deck. Obsessing over the outcome of a relationship gets in the way. Instead, I let go and allow. And this isn't just a relationship too. This is like, this can be anything. And one of the things that A Course in Miracles teaches that I really love is that there is it's like special relationships. It teaches about special relationships, and it's not about monogamy. It's not about like, and I should say conscious monogamy, because we need to get into that more, right? Why do we choose it? Why are we choosing it? What purpose does it serve? And why are we personally associating with it in a way that makes it resonate? Conscious monogamy. But like, special relationships, we can get into them with other things because we take parts of ourselves and we emplace them into this thing outside of us. And that's where we start to say, well, that's special. And I need to, and it's like it slowly can get risen up to this pedestal level where we're looking at it and going, yes, that is it. That is what will save me. Boo, boo, boo. I have news for you. Oh my gosh. That's what I call my cat. But it's not outside of you, right? It just isn't. And it kind of displaces our internal sense of power, like our internal, even the ability to grasp at our own power, even if we don't have the full conceptualization of it, if we're having like a wobble day or whatever. But I pray before I pay. Yeah, this is about, I think, finances and investment on the one hand, but to me, this is about more emotional investment in this context. Like, how are we making conscious choices about the things that we're investing in? How are we making conscious decisions about where we're putting our time and effort and money, right? Mm-hmm. And something else about special relationships that's coming to mind here is that it kind of, when we operate from a place of seeing it that way and understanding that that's how the ego kind of strengthens itself, like it sort of anchors itself in a person, like our identity gets like hooked into a person and it gets like wrapped in their response to us. So that's where we get into these people pleasing habits. And that's really the architecture of them. So we get into this place with them, and then we our obligations, they kind of change, because then it's like it's less of a sense of devotion, right? Devotion to the small. It's less of a sense of devotion to someone and more of, ugh, I have to do this. I have to do this. Oh, right. Like we get into, you can't see my head. I just like, I threw my head back like a 5-year-old on the first day of school after summer. But like, it's like we get into this place where we can dread showing up for our partner in a listening capacity, not because of anything to do with them, but because we've placed them into this place of, we've count the number of times I said place, but it's we put them into a position of the holders of our worth, and that's really like, that's how can you, it's hard to even, then once we throw in things like romance and sex, then it's like we eroticize our wounds, and that just gets messy too. Like it just, so it's like this obligation and devotion. It's like the dance that these things do, in terms of obsessing about things, and the ways that obsessing is indicative of this special relationship that people have made, right? Like I don't know if this is making sense. I mean, I say this having been single for a while, but like, it's not, and I've watched it happen in, with friends who have been in relationships, and all of that. And I know like the lessons that I've learned from my polyamorous friends are numerous, right? They've taught me so much about relationships and the way that unconscious monogamy operates in terms of relationship escalators and hierarchical relationships. And it really relies on ego anchors to function. So it's like, it's the lessons of that, but it also plays into this sort of like, how are we pausing before we make those investments in ego identities? How are we pausing before we make those investments in anything ego related, right? So it's just a call to kind of pause today and do that. This reading turned out to be 20 minutes longer than I thought it would be, but that's fine. But this, my friends, is your daily creative reading for May 19th. If it resonated, please like and subscribe. Yeah, if it resonated, like and subscribe. And wherever this finds you on the time-space continuum, morning, afternoon, or night, I hope it finds you very well, my friends. Take care.